Well, we are going to get working on this 12-row corn planter here in a few minutes. A little while ago, I was reading through the comments to one of the last videos, and somebody asked, you know, why is there a reply to a comment, but there's no reply there? And you go down through, there's a lot of comments all in a row that'll have it'll say that there's one reply or two or whatever. And then you go to that comment to read the reply, and there's nothing there. What that is spam, more or less spam, whether it's something that I reported earlier or that I'd seen earlier but I hadn't yet got to this particular comment, or one of you guys read it and reported it as spam. What YouTube does is they will go through and just delete the actual user, and then what it does is it deletes all their replies or all of their comments that they've been that have got put in on, say, my channel or anybody else's channel. If you ever see a comment or a reply with the avatar, which will be my picture that you see on any of the actual replies when I reply to somebody's comment, if you see that and it says something about Telegram, or there's a bunch of @ signs or whatever next to it, it wants you to give your information to a phone number, that is spam. That is just someone trying to get your information. It's not me, it's not another, you'll see it on other YouTube channels too. It's just spam. And you can actually tell it's someone from a foreign country if it says Telegram. I mean, we don't call our messages, whether it be an email or a text message, we don't use that word Telegram when we're talking back and forth. Another thing that you want to be real careful with is anything that you get for emails these days, whether it's for something, a package that you're expecting, or business dealings with credit cards credit card companies, or your banking information. Any emails that you get, you want to be real careful with. Don't give out any of your personal information unless you are absolutely sure that you're sharing it with the actual company, bank, the business that is looking for that information. Most companies already have your information. They're not going to ask for it again. For example, I got a text message last week, and it said something that this is the United States Postal Service, and there is a package that is being delivered to you. With it, there was a tracking number. However, we don't have your correct address, and if we don't have the correct, if we don't get your correct information, address information, we're going to have to return the item back to sender, and you're going to be charged for freight going both ways. Well, I order stuff all the time, but anytime I'm ordering something from somebody, I've already filled that information out. They already have that information. So I ended up going to the link just to see what it looked like, and it was an actual United States Postal Service form. It had the correct heading and everything, and they wanted all this information filled out. So I said, well, this doesn't look right. I mean, for one, United States Postal Service, they're not going to text you. Two, there was a tracking number. So I copied the tax number, or the, not the tax number, that was the tracking number. So I copied the tracking number, did a search on that, and it immediately came up with, hey, this is spam. It's someone's trying to harvest your information, which I already kind of knew that's what was going on anyways. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Be really careful. Even if it looks legit, don't trust it. Don't call the phone number that is on the actual email you're getting. Look up that information yourself and call the phone number on the actual website for the company. And be careful when you look for the website too, because you can be rerouted to, you know, someone that's not the company that they say they are, and that's how they're going to get your information. So there's a lot of goofy things going on out there today, and I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. I've got a lot of you viewers that are a little older and you're a little too trusting in some of this stuff that is going. Well, with that being said, I think the camera stored that whole clip. It kind of it kind of turned off there right last second, and I won't know if it got all of what I wanted to tell you guys about that or not. But at any rate, I've done a little bit of work to this planter already. I ended up replacing bearings on a couple of gauge wheels for these fertilizer discs. There was 2 of them. They don't need any more. All of the other bearings are tight. We have to replace the wavy disc coulter. We're going to replace them, and I've also got closing wheels that I ordered. We need to go through and remove all these closing wheels and put a spiked tooth closing wheel on there. We're going to obviously grease it. We're going to check the spacing on seed discs, but as far as putting any more iron on it, the fertilizer discs are fine, and the seed opener discs are fine as well. We're going to do a little bit of something with this step here. We're going to try to straighten that out. It's been adjusted slightly here. We'll get some paint on it. Real simple to get this all straightened out. We've got to go through and check. I thought I had a wheel or a bearing gone on one of these gauge wheels too. I thought there was one of them that was a little wonky. This one's a little, yeah. So we need to check those as well, and yeah, we'll touch base with you as the day goes on. It's just going to be boring corn planter stuff. Jared's going to be back working on his engine here as well. He was dropping push rods into it the other day, and when we last talked with you guys, so he'll be back on this as well. So we better get to work and try to get this corn planter out of here by the end of the day. Well, today is the day that McLaughlin's are going to come and put tires on this 9560. We ordered them quite a little while ago, and I figured today was going to be a good day to get them on here. So we're going to take this up and nose it kind of in the end of the hay barn. That way they can work on the concrete and be somewhat undercover too, but it's gonna be a nice day out today anyhow. But at least having it up by the hay barn, they'll be able to work on concrete, and they can swing around it with their cranes and go at it that way. So we'll touch base with them here in a little while once they get here. And once they get started on installing the tires on this. So we've had this tractor for 3 years. When we bought it, it had 2 brand new tires on it. I ended up having them taken off, and right at the time my uncle ended up buying a set of tires for one of his tractors. And we bought a couple of used tires from him, which are on the front inside of this tractor here. Firestone 23-degree radial or something. So we only had to buy 6 tires, and it was somewhere around $35,000 if I remember right. We got the bill quite a little while ago. However, they wanted to wait to install them when we had a little better weather, and I agreed to that. So yeah, we'll just put this up here. Kind of nose it into the hay barn a little bit, and then they can go to town on it. So these 2 tires here were the ones that came on the tractor, and we of course took them off because I didn't see any sense in wearing them out and then having to replace 8 of them. So we only have to buy 6. And this is what the tires look like that are on there. It'll be nice to have good tread. So, but these back ones are probably the worst ones. These are Goodyears that are on there, and then the 2 that we got from my uncle were Firestone 23 degree something or others, I think. Maybe they're just a deep tread. So we'll save a couple of these just in case one gets injured or something. So yeah, the front ones are the best. The rear ones are yeah, wore out pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get back down to the shop, and we'll touch base with the boys once they get up here working on getting some tires on there. They'll have to remove the duals. They'll be able to remove them with their crane, and their hand rather, and just doop doop and go to town on it. Well, here's where we're at with the corn planter. We're gonna actually put the closing wheels that came off of the 16 row last year. We're gonna put them on there, spend these, and then we'll put new ones on it. Well, it's probably gonna be next year. I did order them, but they're not here yet, and I happen to think that we had these that we could use, so we're gonna go ahead and put them on there. In the meantime, we're working on this sand truck. We've got a problem with the circuit that goes to the belt conveyor. We have to chase a couple of problems here and get that figured out. The valve body is underneath this cover here. We've been working on that, and just got to figure out a couple of things here. So we've got everything kind of unplugged, and we are now going after some wires in that wire harness going into the cab. So we'll join up with you once we figure out what we have going on with this. Jared's got the fuel system that he's starting to put together here. Fuel system, you got injectors in it. Fuel lines are on it. And he's kind of going to town here. We've got a couple of manure trucks in here. We've got brake issue on one, and we've got a tank issue on the other one. So this one's going back together. And this one's got a crack in the top of the tank that they're welding right now. Well, what we have found is that we have a couple of broken wires that have pulled out of this plug assembly. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to splice into the actual plug there. I've had to do it one other time, and it would probably be best if we did away with that plug altogether, because the wires are starting to pull out of it. So if I do that, I got to splice in 5, 6, 7 wires, which isn't going to be too awful bad, but if I just fix these 2 for now, I'm probably going to have to fix and do 5 more at a later date. So we'll go ahead and figure out what wire that black one and white one go to, and the plug, pull them out, run them through the side of the cab there, and at least get them spliced in there if we don't end up splicing all 7 of them. So yeah. Well, these guys are both at it. We got brother Dan is helping Kyle. Dan just got here. Kyle's got the dual on the front side done here. He's just yanking this out of the way. He ended up putting the tires that came on the tractor, he ended up putting that on, he's going to put them on the front duals. So he's got this front one done, and then Dan just started on this rear one here. He's got the outside bead broke, and then he's got to get his bead breaker in there and break the inner bead. So we'll check back with these guys here maybe halfway through the job, and we'll see how they make out. Dan's got a couple of his Rottweilers with him. One's 6 months old, and the other one is 1.5 years. Nice little puppies they are, ain't you? There's guard dogs. Right, Dan? They're your guard dogs, huh?
Yeah.
In case any of the customers give you any lip. Well, he'll work around that to get that bead broke. We'll see how Kyle's making out with this front one here. Morning, Kyle. Reason why this one came off a little easier, it's only been on there for 3 years. Sounded like Dan just got this one broke loose here. So this came off a little easier because it was only on there for 3 years, yeah. The front one. So yeah. Well,
have to slow him down a little bit for me?
Yeah. Well, you gotta let the younger guys stay ahead of you, you know, so. Tires that we're putting on this are BKT Agramax. He was only able to get 4 on this truck, and then Dan brought the other 2 on his. Hey, you gotta turn it a little bit. The tread's not completely lined up. That'll give you an idea how this gets done here. We're gonna leave these guys alone. So we are right in the middle of a wire plug delete here. Not something that I really wanted to do, but this wire is a little short anyways, and that's probably why these ended up getting pulled out of the plug. It ended up being a little short after we put this sand bed on here. And as you can see, we've got this kind of pulled up and out of the way and so on and so forth. And with the only other way to do this is to replace the plug itself, and we're just kind of doing away with it. So we'll get them wires connected here in a minute. Jay is working on replacing the seal and the transfer case itself. So he's got the drive line off, he's got the yoke off in there, and then he's removing the cover now, and the seal goes in on the back side of that cover that is on the front side of that transfer case. So he'll have that off of there momentarily. So Jared's thinking this engine is going to be maybe in the tractor today. He's got the oil filter housing on there now. He's working on the front portion. He's about ready to put the valve cover on too, I believe. And he's slowly moving along here. He did order a new water pump. He's thinking that'll be here today. So it's slowly coming together. What are you noticing? Anything with that? I mean, it's hard to see when a seal is wore anyways. It's probably been sanded and everything else, you know. So
yeah, pump around and
yeah,
put the new one in at least.
what's the shaft yoke feel like? That doesn't have a groove in it, does it? No. How'd you make out spreading? Too muddy?
Yep.
Too muddy. You just gotta keep going. You got four-wheel drive, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know.
Put it in and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Well, we've got all the wires connected up in the cab. There's some extra wires that go into the plug that comes off of the cab side of the plug that we didn't need to cut. But we've got all these other ones cut and spliced. And we've got wiring that's a little longer than it needs to be. But it needed to be a little longer so that we could kind of work with it to get it through the cab. I only had 5 colors to work with, and I think I've got like 8 wires here. Yeah, I think there's 8 there. So we had to double use the same color on a couple of the options, but all the wires have a letter on them. So we've got them hooked up there. I've got to get some loom to put on that wire where it goes through the cab, and then we need to get our wires hooked up in the appropriate spot on this valve body. So we'll go ahead and power the key switch and these toggles, and we'll hook these up accordingly here. Sarge has got a little project going on here that we'll have to show you in a minute, but he's getting some brackets made up and he's got some primer on them, and he'll be getting some paint on there here momentarily. So we got these two gentlemen putting closing wheels on. Now these are the used ones, so they came off the old kit that was on the 16-row planter. So we just got to make sure they get the wheels on there the right way. You monitoring this there, Tim?
I don't.
You don't?
I'm not very good with northeast, west, south.
Oh, okay. So I got somebody on the old YouTubes here wants you to take the camera for a day and shoot your own video.
Oh shit! I've had people say, "Yeah, you should have a podcast."
There you go. Yeah. Lukens is rolling his eyes. Oh boy. Lucan's got an earbud in like I have. He can selectively selectively listen to what's going on around him. Of course, Tim does that all the time. Well, I need to start this up before I can test anything. I'm gonna wait till Jason gets done here. He's only got a few minutes left. So while he's finishing that up, we'll run up and check on. The guy's putting tires on the 9560. Well, these guys are just about done. It looks like they're getting ready to set the last tire on there. So you'll notice they've got the tread lined up. Each bar on each tire is lined up all professional like. One thing I was wondering is how deep those bars were on the tires that came on this tractor opposed to the new ones, the BKT tires. It looks like the tread is very similar in appearance and in height, whereas the Firestone compared to the Goodyear were a little different. Well, they look pretty good on there. I've never seen a tire hooked that way, Dan. That's a handy way of doing it.
More designed for your motor tires, I guess, but you can use it on anything.
Right on the money, huh?
You never do that.
Right on the money. That's pretty good. Well, that should do it. They just got to get some wind in that other tire. There they are, picking up their stuff now. Well, we're back down to the shop. These guys have got them tires finished up, and this is what Sarge was working on with those brackets. We put a couple of sight rods on this tank so that you kind of remember that you have something on the front of the tractor because it sticks out so far, and a lot of times you'll pull up close to something forgetting that you have that on there, whether it's an overhead door or another piece of equipment. So that's why we have those on there. So now we're going to finish up the sand truck. We'll see how these guys are doing in here. They should about have these closing wheels done. Just got to find a couple more. There's some right over there.
Well, I thought I got 3 over and I just found another one.
Yeah.
What they do with that?
He's lost. He's lost. So Nathan has the crawler in here and he's going to fix some leaks. Oh, you got her, huh? He's got a patch there. He's got another one on that trunk line. What was there, 2 or 3? Two spots. This one and the one up top. And I think you got another arm to fix, right? You fixed that arm, what was that, like 2 weeks ago you fixed that arm. And then this arm I think I fixed, I don't know, I did one of them a couple years ago, and another one broke on it when he was bringing it up the driveway. And that one right there is hanging down, so he's got to get that reattached. He's got another hole right there to fix. So we better get this sand truck together and get it ready to get on out of here. You got an oil filter on there now. Water pump showed up. So that's all these water pumps are. I'll show you the old one, but he's got the new one sitting in there. And then that's all it is for a water pump. Gear driven. It's got the impeller right on the end of it, so that's all it is. And he'll get his cover on there, and yeah. Well, we're not making too good of progress on this guy here. We're thinking maybe it needs a controller. We have a good ground and everything, but it's just not sending signal over to this valve body here. So I think I'm going to have to order a controller. So our body shop team is working on getting the step straightened out. They've got that removed. And we've got our greasing team here, greasing chains. And we're adjusting seat opener discs and replacing bearings on gauge wheels that need it here. So we've got this one step pretty well straight. Put a little bit of heat on her and got it pretty good and straight. Now they're just getting her ready for some paint. Did you have to do anything to them? Okay. Then we got a bracket that kind of got bent a little bit, so we're getting that. It'll look like new, won't it? Yeah, buddy. You know what's nice about grease on chains? And we're just doing it for the effect of the video, you know, just to show everybody that we lube our chains. You're probably actually, in the long run, better off running dry chains, because the dirt just sticks to it and wears out, you know. But oh well. Oh, and I'm sure we'll probably get a comment or two about the frictionless sand or the frictionless grease where dirt won't stick to it or some damn thing, you know. Chain lube, special chain lube. We don't know, Tim. I'm just running a camera. You know, I was just happening to think, you know what's nice about that planter I use? It don't have one chain on it anymore. Not a one. It doesn't have any chains on it. This one's got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there's another one in behind here. 10. Is that one loose? Well, we'll have to check that. And over here in the engine department, Jared's got a little more of this put back together. Exhaust manifold, intake manifold, valve cover, fuel filter housings going on her. Got the cover on the water pump. Very nice. Well, we've done as much as we can do on the sand truck. I've got everything all tied up, put loom around those wires, got everything all, you know, back together. But we need a controller so we can get power to come into it, but we can't get power out of it. And it's going to be a few days before we see that. So Jared's got more components on this engine here. And doesn't look like he's got much left to put on to it. So Nathan's over here working on this A-arm or whatever you want to call it on this crawler here. Getting that all welded back together all nice like. Oh well, see what that looks like after he gets her all welded. He's got it all cleaned up real nice like there, huh bud? Almost like you know what you're doing, you know? Almost looks like you know what you're doing. So, well, I'm gonna roll this sand truck out, help these guys finish up this corn planter. They are putting the discs on it right now, and they're going through gauge wheels and going after the ones that need attention. They're just about down to the bottom of them. And our body shop guys have got the steps all straightened out, primed and painted. So we'll be able to put them on tomorrow and then roll this thing out the door. It should be done here tonight, and we can get it out of here. So chains are all nicely greased. Yeah. Good times, huh, Jay? Good times. Yeah. Well, I just walked up and got this 9560. Brought it down from the hay barn. And the two tires that came on the tractor, they put on the duals. They did time the bars on the tires on the rear. However, they did it on the front as well, which that's timed right there. But as you get around to the other side of the tire here, it starts to come out of time. We are, oh, what was the measurement? 10.5 inches. The center on this Goodyear tire, and we are 10 3/4 to 11 on this BKT. But other than that, I think they look pretty good on there. We put a fair amount of money into this tractor last year, and then it was due for tires. We had planned on putting tires on it this spring, and we're just hoping that the engine stays together. But it'll have a lot more traction on the chisel plow this year than what it had here previously. So we'll go in the shop here, we'll show you what we got finished up with, and then we're gonna close out this video here. So we can get this on a chisel plow here maybe tomorrow, and just wait for this snow to melt and this ground to dry out. So I think they've got this corn planter done for the most part. I do need to give it another walk around, and I also need to go around it by the looks of it with a grease gun. They ended up getting all these wavy disc coulters on there. They went through and checked all the bearings on the gauge wheels. I think they had like 4 or 5 that they replaced. Closing wheels are on there. And like I said, I've just got to give it a one final walk around, then we can get it hooked up to the tractor. We'll probably leave this hooked up. We don't really need this tractor. Sarge ended up making some brackets for these sight rods. That looks pretty good on there. These are just snow plow things here. And I need to make a bracket up for the fold box so we can run it off that corner post. And I haven't made up my mind if I'm gonna get a monitor bar like I have in the 8320R, so it's a little closer to the seat, so you're not leaning over all the time. So we're gonna get that. I think I'm gonna get one and get that in there, and then I can get this hooked up to the planter, pull it out of here, and then that's gonna open up the shop here. The plastic inserts came for these gauge wheels, so I've got to get one of these together so I can just throw it in the toolbox of the truck to have it for spare parts. Jared's got this engine ready to drop into this tractor, and I would have to say by the next video here, we'd have this in there, or he would have this in there, and it would be running. So we'll show you Nate's little project. He's putting the oil pump on there. We'll show you Nate's little project that he's been working on with this crawler. He's got this done. And it can be rolled out the door. We had it in here the other day. They changed the oil on it and whatever, and then they had some leaks on it, but they couldn't remember where. So he had to take it down, put it in the manure, figure out where the leaks were, and then he ended up gluing that arm back together there. So it looks like he's got a decent job done there. And this could be pulled out of here as well. So with that being said, that is gonna do it for this video. Today is Jared's birthday. He's 26 years old today. So he was hoping to get this engine running on his birthday, but it's gonna have to wait until tomorrow. So we'll catch you later, folks. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you at the next video.